When conversations about zombies are brought up, it usually devolves to how people would survive it. Loot stores, board house, load shotgun, have a baseball bat on hand, the usual. But as we all know, different plans work for different viruses. If it was the Walking Dead virus, most people would assume they'd survive. Others are debatable, like The Last of Us or 28 Days Later. But then there are some where everybody unanimously agrees that they would die. The Necromorph is one of those viruses. The Necromorph is the zombie virus from the video game series Dead Space. Unlike other viruses, a phenomenon triggered by alien artifacts called markers cause psychological effects like hallucinations, paranoia, and mass death, while also repurposing dead bodies into hostile creatures. Instead of spreading through bites, it manipulates people to create copies of itself, which spreads its influence. By the end of the series, it's implied that humanity gets overrun. We'll never have full confirmation because the game series got canceled. But what if we took the Necromorph and put it in a whole nother galaxy against an empire that spans half of it? A populace made up of billions upon billions of creatures, but are all subordinate to two powerful beings that wield supernatural abilities. I am, of course, talking about the Galactic Empire. Before we put these two against each other, we need to fully understand their backstories and their abilities. Let's start with our invaders. While the origins of the Necromorph is widely unknown, we do know the process, and that starts on a celestial creature called a Brethren Moon. A moon-sized creature made of dead, reanimated tissue covered in a layer of rock that floats in space, searching for life to assimilate. The moon, possibly through keratinization, produces a double helix obelisk called a black marker, which is released to land on a planet that hosts biological life. When reaching a habitable planet, the marker guides the evolutionary process to create life that is intelligent enough to create replicas of itself. Once life is intelligent and overpopulated, the marker makes itself known by manipulating the species to discover it. The individuals that discover it are psychologically affected in a few different ways. If the individuals have a simpler mindset, they are driven to insanity, suffering from paranoia, dementia, and becoming increasingly violent. Others are astonished by the seemingly infinite energy, making religions surrounding it and trying to replicate the black marker to harness and produce more energy. These replicas are the red markers. Once enough are built, the black and the red markers begin biologically changing the tissue of the planet's deceased, turning them into what we know as the Necromorph. Undead creatures whose sole purpose is to create more dead corpses. The slashers are the most common type of Necromorph, with elongated arms adorned with biological blades and talons, and possesses arms on the lower torso. The lurkers are created from infants and sometimes dogs. Guardians are necromorphs anchored onto walls. Flesh fused together with the corruption. Their purpose is to defend areas that are important to the infestation. Others, like the brute and the tripod, are composed of several human bodies. Stalkers have a sense of strategic thinking, attacking from different directions. Fodders disguise themselves as humans and carry melee weapons. The Creeper is created from a deceased head and creates shamblers by replacing the head of its victims and using it as a vehicle. If the marker is out of reach for the infection, it takes a dead human torso and turns it into an infector, which is used to turn dead bodies outside the marker's limited reach. Unlike the usual zombies, Necromorph cannot die via headshot, instead being killed via dismemberment or fire. Some variants also have yellow luminescent tumors that can be destroyed. Markers can only be destroyed by incineration, due to a single shard being enough to cause the infection. When there is a large amount of dead tissue around the red or black marker, the convergence event happens, a ritual which begins with nearby necromorph surrounding the obelisk. The marker flashes brightly before creating a powerful wind vortex that picks up and covers itself with the necromorph, creating a ball of dead flesh, then covers that with large pieces of the planet itself to form the protective layer. When the convergence is complete, a brethren moon is officially born. The newly made necromoon then travels to other planets to continue the cycle, feasting off the necromorph populations, while also creating more brethren moons with its black markers. So with that fun information in mind, let's talk about the Galactic Empire. The Galactic Empire is a totalitarian and militaristic regime led by an absolute ruler, that being Emperor Palpatine. Before that, it was called the Galactic Republic, a democratic union of star systems governed by a galactic senate. However, after the Clone Wars, the democracy was dissolved. Power was centralized, and the Republic was reorganized into an empire built on control. As the government changed, so did its military. To keep this video short and on topic, I'm going to explore the well-known and surface-level stuff about the Imperial military. If I got into every ship, every weapon, every rank, this video is going to be way too long, so I'm going to shorten it for this video. So the Galactic military is made up of 4 military branches: the Imperial Navy, the Imperial Army, the Stormtrooper Corps, and the Imperial Starfighter Corps. Let's start with the Imperial Navy, its most powerful military branch. Its purpose is to transport troops, monitor systems, and fight battles in space and atmospheres. Its personnel is estimated to be in the tens of billions and possesses over 25,000 starships. These ships include Star Destroyers, Dreadnoughts, and its deadliest weapon, the Death Star. The Navy coincides with both the Stormtrooper Corps and the Starfighter Corps. The Starfighter Corps mainly deals with aerial combat and dogfights, but will assist with ground troops by transporting them or carrying out bombing campaigns. Their most common starfighters were the TIE Fighters, TIE Interceptors, and TIE Bombers. The most infamous and well-known branch of the galactic military is undoubtedly the Stormtrooper Corps. Stormtroopers are the elite, fanatical, and loyal shock troopers for the Galactic Empire. More importantly, they are the Navy's onboard combat troops. When an Imperial starship is being invaded, or when a ship is being taken, Stormtroopers are the ones to defend and board ships. However, they are also used for ground combat in some instances. Key types include Stormtroopers, used as mainline infantry, Scout Troopers, used for recon, Snow Troopers, used in Arctic environments, and specialized elites like Death Troopers and Purge Troopers, used for hunting Jedi. Our last branch to cover is the Imperial Army. The Imperial Army is the Empire's primary land-based branch that carries out planetary invasions. While Stormtroopers carry out short-term strikes, Imperial troopers carry out long-term occupations and invasions of planets. They were 1 billion strong and were considered the backbone of the Galactic Empire. While the Imperial trooper was the standard ground troop, again, there were specialized soldiers for different roles and environments, like the Mud Trooper and Riot Trooper. The Army also specialized in vehicle combat, training tank pilots and weaponizing armored vehicles like the AT-AT and the AT-ST. The supreme leader of all 4 branches is Darth Vader, a former Jedi turned Sith Lord who became Palpatine's second in command. While Palpatine held the ultimate power over the military and literally everything, other key leaders include Grand Moff Tarkin and Grand Admiral Thrawn. Although the Empire had this massive military with billions of soldiers and industrial strength, they did have their weaknesses, which ultimately led to their collapse. They were arrogant and performative. To make people fear them, the Galactic Empire was more in favor of looking strong than practicality, throwing out useful things from the Clone Wars like the ATTE in favor of something that made them look scary. Arrogance was without a doubt their biggest downfall. Because they were so strong, they didn't go all out against the Rebel Alliance. This led to them losing the Death Star at the Battle of Yavin. At the Battle of Endor, they could have destroyed the rebels, but wanted to show off their new Death Star that was being built. This backfired on them so bad that they lost multiple Star Destroyers, a Dreadnought, and their new Death Star. To make matters worse, Emperor Palpatine and Darth Vader died in this battle. The Empire would collapse 9 months after this. So after explaining the Necromorph and the galactic military, who would win at the very end? So a Brethren moon appears in the faraway galaxy, releases its black markers, and starts infecting local planets. The Imperial Navy would catch on to this pretty quickly and send a Star Destroyer to investigate. As you can guess, that doesn't go well. The psychological effects of the marker would cause chaos on board and reanimate their deceased. The Empire, learning from their mistakes, sends KX series security droids to fight off the infection and take back their destroyer. The other destroyers would take care of the planetary infestation via orbital bombardment. When faced with the Brethren moon, the Star Destroyers would bombard its surface, sterilizing it before the Death Star has finished construction and destroying it. Because of their arrogance, they would try to weaponize a marker, but seeing how much of a hassle it is to use it or weaponize, they destroy it. In layman's terms, the Galactic Empire would destroy the Necromorph. The reason humanity struggled so much with the Necromorph is because they were relatively new to space travel and had no external threats. Compare that to Star Wars, where space travel had existed 25,000 years before the Empire's creation. Not to mention all the galactic wars that broke out between aliens, humans, droids, Jedi, Sith, clones, and many more. But even through all of that, the Galactic Empire is ranked as the strongest in all of Star Wars canon. The Necromorph would put up a strong fight, though. The only way to kill a Necromorph is dismemberment, so ground troops would struggle due to not having the best weapons for the job. But everyone knows that the zombies' biggest weakness is aerial bombardment. The Imperials wouldn't need to put troops on the ground to fight them unless that planet had some level of importance. Psychological attacks would be its best weapon, but the Empire is smart enough and has the resources to get around it. Unless the Empire brought the marker to Coruscant, then all hell broke loose. I don't see the Necromorph winning. Sure, the Necromorph can defeat humanity with 300 years of space travel, but it cannot beat a tamer version of Warhammer 40k. And that's all I got for this video. Until next time, I'll see you guys later.